Afternoon, everybody, please stay.
Wow, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was a little slow-mo. Oh, we're getting critical. Thank you very much, Kim. That was lovely.
We will begin this meeting of council by acknowledging that we're meeting on Aboriginal land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. Long before today, as we gather here, there have been Indigenous people who have been the stewards of this place. In particular, we acknowledge the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Wendat, and Haudenosaunee peoples.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crapper. Takes us to item number 4, which is the adoption of the agenda. It's moved by Councillor Card, seconded by Councillor Crapper, that the agenda of the council meeting held on May 19th, 2026 be adopted as presented. Any comments? I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Takes us to item number 5, any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest today? Seeing none, takes us to 6, adoption of the minutes of the previous meetings. Moved by Councillor Crapper, seconded by Councillor Card, that the minutes of the April 14th council meeting, April 28th, 2026 special meeting, May 5th, 2026 committee of the whole meeting, and the May 8th, 2026 special meeting be received and adopted. Any errors or omissions in those minutes? I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. That takes us, pardon me, to number 7, motions and resolutions. And 7.1 is concerning the appointment of the OPP detachment board member. It's moved by Councillor Card, seconded by Councillor Crapper. The council approved the appointment of Jeff Lackey to the Leeds County OPP Detachment Board as an at-large community member representative for the remainder of this term. And just a reminder to particularly the public who is watching, we are sitting in council tonight. And so generally speaking, there may be one exception on the agenda, but generally speaking, we've already discussed these issues 2 weeks ago at committee of the whole. If you'd like to see that discussion and debate, you can go onto our YouTube channel. So when something just is simply passed by a vote today, it doesn't mean we're not interested in the subject matter. It means that we haven't changed our opinion or there's nothing new to add since we discussed it 2 weeks ago. So that being said, any comments or issues in regard to Mr. Lackey? Then I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. All right, 8.1 is delegation of authority, lame duck period. So one of our members of council said that they didn't really know that there was lame duck legislation. And of course there is. Otherwise it would be really, really funny, but there's actually legislation that requires council to put a plan in place in case at the time that nominations close for the municipal election, there's not a majority of members of council running in that election, and then how do decisions get taken if you don't have that? So lame duck means when you don't have a majority seeking re-election. So this is moved by Councillor Crapper, seconded by Councillor Card. The council received the report entitled Administration, Delegation of Authority, Lame Duck Period, and the council approved the Delegation of Authority bylaw only to come into effect in the event it is determined by the clerk that less than 75% of the current council will be returning. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carried. So 8.2 is from Public Works. This is in relation to the swale. It's moved by Councillor Card, seconded by Councillor Crapper. The council will receive the report entitled Public Works, Bedford Street Swale Engineers Review for information purposes. And the council directs staff to return the existing bioswale back to its original design with limited plantings in order to facilitate proper use and ease of maintenance. So thank you for the motion, because when I read the report, I was a little, probably just me today, I was a little confused. This is happening this year. I just want to confirm that. The plantings may have to go in the spring when the frogs and trogs and pollywogs are gone, but the putting it back is in the budget. It's going to happen in 2026. Is that correct to staff? So I'll start with you, CAO.
Sure, thank you through you, Madam Mayor. As I understand it, the restoration of the engineered soil will be done in the fall of this year.
Okay.
And then if there are already plantings planned, that would be in 2027.
Okay, and then just to be clear, this is as designed originally, and our engineer, Mr. Hawley, is recommending that that's the course of action that we take. And just because ERLA people have sent us an email, I just want it to be clear that it is the recommendation, and what council's gonna vote on is to put it back to the way it was. I think that's a song, isn't it? Put it back to the way it was originally designed, and that is happening in this budget year. Everybody's clear on that? Mr. Evans, I got that right?
That's correct.
Okay, now any discussion now that we've cleared that up? Councillor Cracker.
First of all, I found the engineer's report exceedingly helpful. Because I wasn't here when the swale went in, the context of it was different, and I think what we've learned is that with time, you know. The clarity of what was intended, didn't stay fresh with us, I think is a good way of putting it, and so. It's useful to see what its intent was and to get third party advice on what the best practices are. Left some discussion, I think that's important in terms of Indigenous versus non. I like the focus that beautification isn't what is not the intention, at least that's I.
Could you explain what you mean for people who haven't read the report?
Yeah, that one of the things that they talked about was that if, the purpose of it is protecting the water, the lake water from stormwater runoff. And how you do that best is by, what is in, I'm not gonna summarize what they say you need to do, but what you plant can vary. However, when you look at Watersheds Canada, I mean, we did a lot of planting on my property, just on the pond here. There is no question that Indigenous planting is preferred route to the longer root systems. They just do a better job. There's no debate about it.
Okay.
And he alludes to that in the report. So I think if there is plantings to be done, we want to make sure that that we comply with best practices. And what I like about this report is it's a step in that direction, that these are the best practices from our engineer. We're not guessing about what those are. Given that we had the correspondence from ERLA this week, the recommendation to spend on this surprises me, or maybe we just didn't factor in that ERLA are, unless I'm mistaken, offering $2,000 to $3,000 to this project with, really, to me, no strings attached to be participants in making this occur. And I would be supportive if, for many reasons, but one of the reasons is when we've got a volunteer group that's saying we'd like to work with you and put some money and put our time into it, then I think it would be, I think it's in the taxpayers' interests and our interests in terms of relationships to be doing that. So if we did that, then would we need the $2,000 to $3,000 budgeted the way we currently have on this motion?
Okay, thank you. Councillor Comment?
So, Councillor Crapper has done a great job of summarizing the key points of the report. I think that the thing that I took from the engineer's report is the focus on managing stormwater and that beautification and reducing operational maintenance were the other two items that needed to be balanced. What I'm hearing from our public works department is that timing is important here, and that timing needs to be structured around getting the right soil in place, and then looking at what the plantings could or could not be. So my first question to Public Works would be, beyond getting the engineered soil in for the fall, what would happen after that? And I understand from the CO that we're looking at 2027, but is there any planting going to be happening on top of that in the fall at all?
So could I just tweak that question? When is this work gonna be done? I haven't heard that it's the fall yet, so could I just get that
Okay.
straight in my head? Go ahead.
So there's, we did put in the report that we kind of expect around the fall based on schedules and being able to get the equipment and the materials. But that is all the engineered soils, the mulch, the engineered topsoil, the granular underneath the actual swale itself. Being that we're in towards the middle of end of May right now, I'm thinking late summer would be the earliest we'd be able to get this in anyways. Probably a better target date would be fall.
So can we just hold there for a minute? Is there any frogs, tadpoles, fish reason why it can't be done sooner than later? That's normally what we get told. We can't do anything because it's a spawning season.
So there's no work in the lake bed. This is all stormwater infrastructure. This is all time and material based schedule.
Okay, well, we can come back to that, but my gut tells me we could schedule it, we could get the equipment in, and why would we wait several months? So we can get back to that before we're done. Didn't mean to interrupt, I just hadn't heard the fall yet, and I wasn't buying into fall.
Yeah, the follow-up question was, why the timeline? Because I think there was something in the report about getting the engineered soil and it might not be available, but if it is available and we can do it. So if I understand the report correctly, what we're trying to do is find that balance between the stormwater management, reducing the maintenance and beautification. Which leads me to the question about, so how did we get here? Why is there topsoil that has been placed there? And how do we make sure that we don't get into the same situation as we move forward?
I think it's more than topsoil. Either CEO or Peter could fill that answer.
Yeah, so I guess through your worship, so there was, the village was approached by Erla in an effort to make that beautification happen down at the bioswale. One of the pictures attached to the report was the original as designed swale. And as part of that process, that was when the topsoil got reintroduced for the planting. There wasn't the granular material that was there wasn't gonna support the type of plant material that was desired by
Okay,
the third party.
okay. But this time, whatever the products are,
We'll say.
they'll stand the test of time. Okay, so that's that answer.
Follow-up? So is the intention to leave it as in the photograph that's attached to the report, or will there be some plantings on top of that?
How do we make that decision? I mean, I'd like to get the swale built and then perhaps because we've already got Councillor Crapper weighing in on Indigenous, if the plantings weren't gonna go ahead this year anyway, that they're gonna get the swale done, can we get staff to bring us back a report with some pros and cons? I feel like we're kind of shooting fish in a barrel here, because I don't know the right answer. And but if part of the expert advice is you don't need plants, then that needs to be one of the options for you, that's all. But we're kind of working in a vacuum here right now on that.
I mean,
Go ahead.
yeah, so yeah, I bring up the question because the engineer's report specifically lists some types of plants
Right.
that are appropriate for this type of application. So I understand that the concern from Public Works is to make sure that the stormwater management happens properly there.
Yeah.
But I'd like to get some information around what exactly can we plant to address the other concern, which is the beautification, and then reduce the operational maintenance costs and time that the report alludes to.
Are you okay if that's a subsequent report?
Sure.
And we can take the decision on that, taking into account also what Council Crapper said. Is that good?
Yep.
Okay, Sia? Okay. Councillor Carter.
Sure, just through you, Madam Mayor, as a follow-up from Councillor Crapper, I think it is important to work with groups, and I think if that's part of the report is, what it would Earl be willing to do, but maybe that council or staff approve it first and we can work together. I think it would be beneficial for both groups to work together, who's going to maintain it, what's best for the swale. But I don't want to say, let's leave Erla out of it either.
Yeah. Comments from staff on that. I mean, in the past, staff have made it pretty clear that it's municipal property and they work on municipal property. So I'm not trying to put them on the spot here. We've heard that over and over again. But I think that if there's a donation of some money, that the follow-up by staff could be, as Councillor Crapper has said, follow up. Because the email came in and we're discussing an email that the public doesn't have, which really is not the right thing to do, to bring it up into the conversation. But it's not consistent with what's in our briefing note. So I'd like staff to follow up with the author of the ERLA message and just find out what they have in mind and let them know that this is and has been our plan. It wasn't clear in the message that they understood where this was going tonight. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, Councillor Carter.
Yes, I agree that we should do some follow-up work there. For me, the questions are, one, is it operational? Is it functioning right now the way it is, the way it looks? What would the impact of plantings be? The plantings, are they plantings, just, we're picking those plantings because they can survive in the swale, or are we picking those plantings because they contribute to the efficiency of it? I think for a small place like Westport with limited staff, that maintenance is a key issue. So why would we go ahead and do something that you can't actually maintain? I mean, if there's a way to make it minimal maintenance and still produce an efficient bioswale, to me, that's the way it should go.
Okay, so if we amend, don't see anybody else. Okay, if we, go ahead. I'm gonna amend it, I
Yeah,
think, to
great.
bring that all in.
One of the useful part, I think the engineer's report has a section on vegetation, and I think returning to it, given that we've invested in this report, they seem to be experts in what can be planted, how to, and it reads as the most efficient, least expensive option to protect lake water. That's what's jumping out at me in the flavor of this report. So I think it was a really good idea to go with this, and so to continue to go back to the well on this. The other point is that in the ERLA letter, the
That it
notion.
doesn't have.
Yeah, the notion was just to be involved for a couple of years, I think it said anyways. Clearly, this is a municipal
Yeah.
infrastructure issue, and so clearly, and I think lessons learned from the past are that clarity of who's doing what, and I would recommend if we were doing something in partnership, which I love the idea of doing, and Blooms was mentioned in there too, and we all know about what Blooms have done in the community. That we articulate in writing whose role is what, and timelines and all that kind of stuff. There's no confusion as has evolved in the past, so.
Okay, but let's be clear, this motion is pitter patter, get the swale fixed. That's what we're gonna vote on tonight. And if we amend the second part about the plantings, so it's Councillor Card and Councillor Crapper. The second part is that council direct staff to return the existing bioswale back to its original design and bring back a report with recommendations regarding planting by September. Then we'll get more information, we'll get them to spend some time. And at that time, if there is a partnership to be considered with ERLA.
Yeah, through
Okay.
that process, right?
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, this, we're gonna move ahead with this now, because I don't wanna wait till the fall. So that's fair with everybody, okay? Mover and seconder, okay with that amendment? Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. Anything from staff that we kind of stomped on there that you wanted us to clarify before we move on?
Nothing actually, through you, Madam Mayor. I think Marty hit the nail right on the head. To avoid this very situation, we would suggest an agreement be entered into if that partnership is considered in the future, but we can bring that back certainly.
Okay, but, and September committee of the whole, is enough time? Everybody happy with that?
Mhm.
But the swale, let's get back to that. We normally don't give clear direction to staff, but I think this is one of these times that we want that swale done sooner than later. And so if it's a matter that the material's unavailable, well, we work our way through that, but not scheduling. So let's get that, and I honestly, I apologize, council, I thought there was some barrier with spring spawning that would prevent us from getting in the water, but if that's not the case, then we can do it. So we're getting swale done quickly. Whether there's plantings or not will be another decision of council to debate at the September committee of the whole. And if there is movement in regards to work with ERLA, that will come back at that time as well. Good. Everybody happy? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Good discussion, team. Thank you so much. All right, now we move to the library. And the motion is moved by Councillor Crapper, seconded by Councillor Card, The council received the report entitled Public Works Library Entrance Update. And the council directs staff to proceed with the project with any overages being funded by the facility repairs and maintenance budget. Council directs staff to proceed with heating the ramp at the library and to draw funds from the efficiency reserve. So I hope council's okay. When I read the report for the fourth time, I still wasn't clear on where's the money. So I've asked staff to come prepared tonight to help us understand the, and I know you're gonna say it's in the report, but there was a lot of numbers in there. So I'm not being critical. Let's just be clear. And the public is listening to this, a lot of interest in the library and the ramp in the village, and they don't have the report. So there was an amount of money in the grant that was secured by Trillium. There was an original quote. There is in 24. I'm looking for these numbers when I'm done. There's now a real cost in 2026 and the whys. And what are we short based on that? And then can you talk about heating and what the cost of the heating is? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead then, Peter.
Yeah, so, as you indicated in the report, there was a table. The original quote came out to around 168,300 for just the ramp, doorway, the renovation, which just had two doors, basically. The rear, what is currently the children's room, was intended to be the entrance desk and reception area, service desk there as well. The grant was submitted using similar numbers. There had been addition in the accessible doorway to add that door, the third door. Since then, there's another door that's being added, which the updated quote came shortly after the last report to council. That was at 216,000.
Sorry, 215,
216.
216 is the 2026 quote.
Late 2025 quote.
Gotcha.
And then so as construction, so even with that quote, there was some optimism that there would be extra funding in there. They've carried some extra. Unfortunately, with the fourth door and a beam, that got eaten up pretty quickly. And so the current 2026 construction pricing is at $226,000. The funding for that being recommended instead of the repairs and maintenance funding.
What's the difference?
Sorry?
What's the difference?
$21,400 between grant funding and what is required to complete the project. Now, that is almost entirely made up by, not made up by, but it's entirely comprised of the additional handrail is required. So the intent was that there would be one handrail on one side of the ramp. Unfortunately, the building code with the width had to be a second handrail. So that was $25,000 on its own, which would have put us just under the grant funding, which would have been good. And the village did have the intent of using facilities repairs and maintenance budget for this project, mostly around for some work around the front door, as a bit of an internal contingency versus whereas one wasn't built into the Trillium grant. So that's to finish the project. The optional, which was the desired, was about $11,000 to heat that sidewalk up to the back, heat that ramp, which is mostly going to be seen as an investment, which is going to save a lot of time and effort from staff for keeping that clear. And a lot of the salt and sand that gets dragged into the facility is over the winter time. So it is a good option for efficiency. It's a good option for that kind of long-term use. And there was of course council desire to have that done over the months. However, it is still an option, but that is why the recommendation is to pull that specifically out of the efficiency grant. Just the amount of time and material it's going to save over the years.
So if I can summarize, we are $25,000 over the grant money because the code says we need a second ramp.
So it's mostly 21,000 and 25,000 for ramp.
Okay, and the cost of heating that ramp is 11 grand,
11 and a half.
ish.
Yeah.
And then what about the front of the building? Is there any funds set aside to demolish the other ramp or is that gonna go into 27? Is there any discussion at all?
That's the lightest impact to the budget for the front ramp. I strongly believe, and the council strongly believes that ramp has to go at least.
Yeah.
It's very much non-compliant.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be sure Google and a new handrail.
Okay,
I didn't price that out, but I would think $100,000.
okay,
But there was so to update some door hardware and things like that. But without a contingency in the grant funding, it's expected that would be used up for this to make the ramp finish that job.
okay, thank you, Peter, that's clear as mud. Counselor Crapper and then Counselor Carden.
A couple of things. I've been in there quite a bit recently, and I was just saying to Peter before the meeting that you really do get a clear sense finally of the improvement that is being made to the aesthetic of the main entrance to this library. There's space there to sit and take off your boots. It will be brighter. The librarian is happy. It's so congratulations, it's taken a long time to get to this point, but and the length of time is part of the reason that the prices have gone up. So it's not really unexpected, but a little extra is that the service desk, which we had a quote of $11,000 for originally and was approved with Trillium, we can now get for, I think it's 7 or 8, right? Yeah, so there's some little savings there. On the ramp, I've had questions about the ramp, but Jamie, the chair of the library, has done some research in other libraries that have them, and they're deemed appropriate technology for public access. And the salt problem in our library is huge, so everybody's wandering in there with strollers and boots, and you've seen what that carpet looks like. Which, by the way, we're hoping to replace with wood this year as well. So I'm supportive of it. I realize that I've got a bit of a different perspective on it, but I think that the investment in our library is one that we're making that's an investment in our town, and it's used by the full range of the population age-wise. It's going to be better for people to access the library through that door, and I think the more we can put into it, we will be kicking ourselves if we don't do it right this time.
Thank you, Counselor Carden.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Peter, please. I'm just wondering about the Ontario Trillium grant. It talked about an internal contingency funding. Would we ever find out about that or?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we have not yet, but should that be the case, then that would be less that we need to draw from the repair facilities, repairs and maintenance stuff.
Okay, Counselor.
Yeah, I'm just trying to decide when I hear some of the statements here. We're doing this project to make it AOD compliant, are we not? We're not, the prime concern is not to provide another access for the public. So I can't understand why, if that's the path we're taking, why there wasn't a realization up front that that kind of an access needs 2 rails. It doesn't need 1. I mean, it doesn't seem like we put enough thought into where we're going before we started going. There's, best I can tell, at least 2 changes, maybe 3 made after the grant money, which all adds costs. So is there a reason here for us to take a different approach on another project and get all our eggs in one basket before we actually move ahead with the ask for money? We may not have come up short had we done our research there.
It's a really good point. You're gonna support this, but moving forward.
Yeah,
you're-
we have to. I mean, it's gotta happen.
Yeah, but that's a really good point. Counselor Golan.
Yeah, so I'm picking up on Councillor Card's comment about the handrail. So I'm still struggling with the fact that it's $25,000 for 27 linear feet of handrail.
It's solid gold.
Well, it comes out to approximately $1,000 per linear foot.
That's right.
Which is a little excessive, so I'm wondering, are there other options we can look at here before we approve an additional $11,500 dollars in expenses coming out of reserves?
I don't know, I'll go to Peter. Is a handrail, or is there something special about this one to meet code?
Yeah, so through your worship, so I wouldn't say it's special, but it is meant for one side of the retaining wall. It is steel handrail and current coating it'll last. Like I know from replacing other railings around the village that this was right around the price we expected. Like we ran on this on Bedford Street, we ran this on Main. This wasn't a surprise for a metal handrail that's gonna hold up. There certainly could be some cheaper options, but I think we'd be saving a few $1,000s. Well, I don't think we'd be cutting this price in half. And it wouldn't be matching the other side. There is specific to that. This was what was done, mostly based on the width of that railing where it was, instead of being able to kind of tuck it right to the side. The goal was to make the ramp as wide as possible to really facilitate that being the entrance. But there is a maximum width that we ran into the building official and the engineers.
Follow up, yeah, and so I appreciate the explanation. Thank you for that, Peter. I did some quick research on options, and the most expensive I can find is approximately $500 installed per linear foot. And that's a welded unit. You can also go with the modular units that are also available and apparently a little cheaper. So I would say that maybe we look at this a little bit more closely in terms, before we agree on spending, $1,000 per linear foot. And then I have a second question.
Yeah. Just thinking how we work our way through that and the motion itself. You go ahead with the second question. I'll try to think of a solution for your first one.
Yeah, so my last question is about the heating. If we're investing the money in the heating, what is the life expectancy of the heating system that's going to be installed? And when can we expect that we're going to have to look at this as another asset that needs to be upgraded?
And how do we, if it goes down, having the experience at the arena, how do we replace or repair?
So we know the arena wasn't installed properly to start, so we can't use that as
That's
a
true.
comparison. We could see the tag where it says that this is not installed.
Okay,
Having heated slabs before, I've got 30-year heated slabs that at facilities that I've previous experience with that are no sign of running out. It was a facility built in '94 and the heat has been continuous since that time. I would say 20 years would be the expected lifespan, but really shorter or longer is hard to guess. The advantage of this ramp design is that the ramp forms the base and the surface is effectively like a sidewalk. So being able to replace that upper section, while not a drop in the bucket, it can be done without replacing the ramp and the retaining wall.
Okay.
So it's a surface type piece.
okay, Councillor Carr.
I have to agree with Councillor Ardona. $1,000.
Yeah,
I think it's serious enough. We need to take a look at it and see what the options are. Councillor Ardona's done some research there and he's looking at half that cost. That's money to go towards the heating. There's lots of other places to spend that money, so I really think we should investigate that further.
so for the mover and seconder, if we leave in, if we remove the line about, proceed with the project with any overages being funded by the facility, if we pull that line out until, and ask Peter to come back with an updated report on other options, but leave in the council direct staff to proceed with heating the ramp, feel that the heating the ramp is supported,
So
and we want to see if we can't get the cost of that railing down. Please tell me that holding off on the railing isn't going to stop the project, Peter.
I have to ask the contractor leadership, so this, the engineer, the building official and the contractor are what settled this, so it's exactly what I was expecting, but I was not expecting to have to go back to them, so I can go back, find out whether that ramp was already gonna go in after the slab or whether that had to go in before. I can't answer that.
The handle,
Handrail.
the handrail.
Sorry.
Okay, well, I think that everybody's kind of raised the same concern about the price of most of it, so, what do you want to see, CAO? As far as, or with your clerk hat on, as far as the motion is concerned? If we leave the motion with any overages being funded by the facility repairs and maintenance funded, that's fair, because there will be something over the actual grant amount. And yet still direct an update on the railing.
Yeah. Direct staff to bring an updated report as early as possible.
So we can pass the motion, but it's clear to staff that they're not proceeding with that railing until they come back and report. But this will give confidence to the library board and everybody else that we're we're not pulling anything, we just. How much the overage is yet to be determined with the cost of the railing. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm Marty, go ahead.
That said, if indeed it puts the brakes on finishing our, or delaying by a long time the ability to start using that entranceway, which it would, because you gotta have the handrail.
Well, let's have it come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's have that information back in 2 weeks and we'll take the decision then. How's that?
Great, and is, sorry to, one more question, the handrail you're talking about, is it, so it's the same basically as the one outside of, the ice cream store at the corner on Main Street?
Yeah, so as described to me, it's a galvanized handrail,
Yeah.
so. it's very, very similar.
Well, I'm just thinking that might be helpful for us to be able to go see what, it is that you're talking about in this is. The same.
Okay, that's good. So I'm gonna leave the motion the way it is. Staff understand that we'd like a report back at the committee of the whole in June. On options for the other handrail. We accept there needs to be one. But are there options and the option just can't be that it matches. It has to be functional for code. And if we can get it at a lesser price, that would be fine. And we'd be prepared to debate it. So that there's no stalling. Everybody okay with that now? Everybody's good? Okay, then I'm gonna just call that question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Peter. Okay, that takes us to information items, the EMCPA 2025 Emergency Management Compliance Letter. That's just for information purposes. Okay, I'm going to bylaws. Oh, there is a motion, sorry, moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Crapper, that council receive item 10.1 for information purposes. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And now we will go to bylaw. We've already talked about the lame duck, so now this is a bylaw that makes it legal. So moved by Councillor Crapper, seconded by Councillor Card, that bylaw 2026-15 being a bylaw to delegate authority to the CAO for certain acts during a lame duck period, be read a first, second, and third time and finally pass this 19th day of May 2026. Any other discussion on this? Call the question, all in favor, and that's carried. All right, now we are going to get to general rates and fees bylaw. This wasn't a committee, but we update it regularly. And so that's what this is about for the public to understand. In order to charge a fee, it has to be done by bylaw. So we update this every 3 or 4 months. It's moved by Councillor Cardy, seconded by Councillor Aragona, that bylaw 2026-16 being a bylaw to impose fees or charges on any class of persons for services or activities provided to them by the corporation of the village of Westport for the year 2026 be read a first, second, and third time and finally pass this 19th day of May 2026. If I could just get the CAO just to give us kind of a high level what the changes are for people watching that don't have the briefing note from them.
Sure, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, it's in the actual strong read into the bylaw, and I think that changed in late 24 for the 2025 general rates and fees bylaw that council delegated the authority to the CAO to put on the cost of living or consumer price index rather on each applicable fee each year. So this is, you'll see this, the chart attached, and in the notes section is what's changed and why, and if it hasn't, the reason for that. And generally speaking, it's usually cash processes. So day voting, it's easier to accept a $5 or $7, let's say, rather than $7.45. So it's just been rounded for cash processes.
Okay, any comments on that? All right,
Just a much improved format for last time. This is easy to follow, nice to see notes and descriptions of why there were changes.
good, thank you. I'll call the question, all in favor, and that's carried. All right, any notices of motion? Okay, for an announcement, anybody have announcements? Okay, Councillor Crapper, then Councillor Card, holy moly.
Oh, yeah. I have some to do with this coming weekend's events, 3 related events, all to do with EcoFest and the lead up to EcoFest. So on Thursday this week, the first event at 4 p.m. at the Cove, at the parking lot across from the Cove where the Fredericksburg House was. There has been planted a pocket forest, which is a term I've become familiar with these past couple of years, and they are important initiatives in communities to not just improve canopy, but like there's this huge ream of your comments earlier about implications for wildlife. Well, the implications for insects and pollinators and all these things is just overwhelming when you start to learn about. And so every step counts in a pocket forest. And I know there are plans for 2 or 3 others in the village over the next year. So they'll be unveiling that at 4 p.m. Any of us that are able to attend would be appreciated. That evening at 7 p.m., there's a woman who is doing a 1-act play, 1-person play. She did one last year at the Legion, and I was at that. It was really interesting. This one could be even more interesting for the golfers in our community. It's called The Gardener and the Golfer, 7 p.m. United Church, and it's to environmentally related play. Be interesting. And then from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. I think on Saturday at the Cove is EcoFest, and it's really evolved this year with the help of the Cove. It's going to be in the backyard and inside. The weather looks great, but it was nice to have that backup anyway. And all kinds of take a look at the poster, and hopefully anybody able to attend. But those watching tonight's meeting, please go and check it out.
Good. Thank you, Councillor Crapper. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that FOTA's planning their 3rd annual Bob Scott Walk on June 19. Starts at 5:30 registration. There are registration forms around the village. Bob was a big promoter of community and youth, and we do this in his memory, and all proceeds end up at the arena. So if you can get out and do the walk, it's not the distance, it's the participation. So that's what we're promoting this year. We'd like to see lots of people come out and support it.
Thank you. Either of you two?
No.
Let the public know that the Village of Westport Volunteer Recognition Award, it's given out twice a year. Nominations are open. They close May 29th. And nominations are pretty straightforward. You send an email to our CAO, and that email address is cao@villageofwestport.ca.
Yeah.
Village, so it's cao@villageofwestport.ca with your nomination, why that person should receive the volunteer recognition. So just a reminder, May 29th is the day that closes. Anybody, anything else? So Ellen Goodman once wrote a book about a graceful exit. There's a trick to the graceful exit. It begins with the vision to recognize when a job, a life stage, or a relationship is over and let go. It means leaving what's over without denying its validity or past important in our lives. It involves a sense of future, a belief that every exit line is an entry, and that we are moving on rather than moving out. So as I approach 50 years of public service on July 3rd, including 13 years on Westport Village Council, I have decided to retire from municipal politics. This decision did not come quickly or easily. Public service has been a defining part of my life, and serving the people of Westport has been both an honor and a privilege. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to work alongside remarkable residents, volunteers, business owners, councillors, and staff who care deeply about this community and its future. Looking back, I am proud of what we have accomplished together. While there were many important projects and milestones, I believe our greatest achievements were strengthening the village's financial position, investing in critical infrastructure, and modernizing municipal administration. When I became mayor, Westport's reserves were minimal, and the village was approaching its debt limit. Today, our financial position is significantly stronger. Reserves now provide greater flexibility for future growth and capital investment, while our borrowing capacity has improved substantially. That stronger financial foundation has allowed the village to move forward confidently with both large and small projects that will benefit residents for years to come. Over the past 12 years, Westport has completed several major infrastructure initiatives, including a new wastewater system, the reconstruction of Bedford Street, and the ongoing improvements at the WTC Communication Center. These projects represented significant investments in the future of our community and would not have been possible without strong partnerships with the federal and provincial governments. I remain deeply appreciative of the support and confidence shown in Westport through these investments. Equally important was the work done behind the scenes. Good municipal government depends not only on visible projects, but also on sound administration, responsible planning, and strong organizational practices. During this time, the village implemented improved business processes and policies that strengthened accountability, increased efficiency, supported professional development, and modernized the way services are delivered. Together, these efforts help build a stronger and more sustainable municipal organization. None of these accomplishments would have been possible without the people of Westport, especially our volunteers. Volunteers are the backbone of the community. They are the people who organize events, support local organizations, serve on committees, raise funds, and step forward whenever help is needed. Their dedication strengthens the fabric of this village and helps make Westport the special place it is today. I also want to recognize our local business community. The strength of Westport is built not only through public investment, but also through the commitment, resilience, and entrepreneurial spirit of those who choose to invest and do business here. Your support of community event organizations and daily village life contributes enormously to the vitality of our community. Over the years, I was fortunate to serve in several leadership roles beyond Westport, including Warden of the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville, Chair of the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, Chair of the Rural Ontario Municipal Association, and President of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. These opportunities broadened my perspective, challenged me in new ways, and allowed me to build lasting relationships with municipal leaders from across Ontario. As president of AMO, part of my role involved representing Ontario's 440 municipalities in discussions with the provincial government. Those conversations often focused on the growing pressures facing municipalities, including infrastructure, housing, affordability, and the increasing expectations placed on local government. While perspectives did not always align, I appreciated the opportunity to advocate on behalf of municipalities and to ensure that local voices were heard. Now, you know, municipal government is rarely easy or glamorous. Resources are limited, priorities compete, and decisions are often complex. There are moments of disagreement and criticism, but there are also moments of collaboration, progress, and shared purpose. Through it all, I have had the privilege of serving alongside dedicated counselors and staff who care deeply about this community. Thank you for your professionalism, commitment, and leadership. What you do matters. Your work makes a difference every day. Looking back, I am deeply appreciative of the trust and support placed in me over the years. Every accomplishment was a shared effort, and I will always value the relationships and experiences that came from serving this community. As Ms. Goodman observed, every exit line is an entry. While this chapter is coming to a close, I look forward to what comes next with gratitude, optimism, and confidence in Westport's future. Questions from the public?
Yes, that's a hard one to follow,
I didn't plan that.
but congratulations. That's a big announcement. Definitely the mark here. Grateful for that, so thank you. I want to thank you for the conversation regarding the swale. I enjoyed that, and I look forward to hearing more on that. Just as a comment, RBCA has been a great partner as well in supporting the swale and recommendations. If there's an opportunity to engage with them as well to support plants, that sort of thing, I think they would be a valuable resource. My question actually is on the library, and so from what I understand, there's about right now about 35,000 that has to come out of general repairs and maintenance potentially.
Question here.
Yes, sorry,
Thank you.
sorry.
Because we don't know who we're gonna send.
Yeah,
the
I
question.
know. So there's an overage that is going to be coming from general repairs and maintenance to handle the overage from the construction and potentially this heating pad. Am I kind of right on that, that we don't have enough money, so the rest will be funded by the general repairs and maintenance?
So you're close. It's all taxpayers' money,
Right,
people, other than the grant. But the heating, we've agreed is coming from the efficiency reserve.
Okay,
It's an efficiency, there's a little bit of money left over that the government gave us several years ago. And staff are recommending that, with all of the things involved, it fits the criteria of the reserve. And now the $25,000, for the railing, you heard that discussion, we'll know more in
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, great. And I am under the assumption that the village is responsible for the building itself, like repairs, make the exterior of the building. That's not foul, that's not the board.
So the building is a municipal building.
Right,
And we take care of municipal properties. That's part of the conversation you heard with the swale as well.
Yeah.
So it is a municipal building. That being said, you know, Fowl is one of those organizations that popped up kind of out of nowhere. I'm sure that there was a couple of people having coffee one day and say, hey, let's raise some money for the library, and it exploded. So I know how much particularly the board has appreciated the fundraising. Some of it may have gone to small capital, I'm not sure, but it's the municipal building, so we're responsible for the maintenance.
which then leads me to the front aesthetic of the building. The door is rusted, the book box is rusted, the stairs are in desperate need of painting. We have company coming. They're called tourists. You know, they started this weekend, but they're coming to see our village. And I feel that we, given it is public, we represent, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not finding my right words here. I guess I'm saying, are we putting our best foot forward by the condition of the front of our building? Dirty eaves troughs, stairs that need painting, rusted stale railing, salt boxes, rusted boxes. Is there money in all of this repair to get the front of our building aesthetically pleasing? So that we can support Blooms with the gardens that they put in. We can support Fowl for all of the work that they do, the volunteer work. So basically, the village doing its part to maintain these buildings and put it in its best condition, especially as we get ready for tourist season.
Thank you.
That's my question.
Well, you heard the discussion on where we're gonna find the money for the build. It's probably not the best year to be coming and asking for, is there consideration for the front of the building when there's only so much money to go around? So there are no plans this year for the front of the building by the village. There's nothing in the budget for it beyond repairs and maintenance. When we had a discussion on the budget, part of our discussion was, do we replace the 2 remaining welcome to the village of Westport signs? $15,000. So it's not that we're blind to it at all, Peggy. It's we're probably in a better position to do some of this on our with staff, where in years gone by it was contractor. We don't want the Fowl or library people painting the front porch. So, you know, the comments you make are duly noted. I'm gonna make you cry now. I was in Timmins last week. Hard done by mining town that how they keep it together. They've got a fabulous mayor. And they have one of the most extraordinary libraries I've seen in all the villages and towns that I've gone to. And it took years to get there. So you're not falling off the radar. We're not oblivious or blind to it. but likely not this year, the types of things that you're talking about.
I could just add a statement to it based on the board's, because obviously there's lots of discussions. We're talking about how to either replace or refinish that drop box for books, for example, which is one of the eyesores that you notice first there. So there's an active discussion about ideas to do with that. And because the main entrance is going to be the new entrance, we can incrementally make changes as we have the ability and staff. And, you know, if the board were, you know, found it a priority to paint the front steps, you know, they have a situation where they talk with Peter, and sometimes they've got access to grants that we've done things with staff here. Absolutely see it as a priority, but biggest priority has been not just the Trillium grant stuff, but the children's area that it's now been gutted and being rebuilt with grant money that we got for that. But one step at a time, but clearly the visual, the front is.
We're not blind to it, yeah. But there's a lot of other places in town that we're not blind to as well, so thank you for,
A can of paint.
Thank you.
Go a long way.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
thank you. Any questions from the media? Okay, so thank you very much, thank you, public, we're gonna go into
Thank
closed
you.
meeting now, thank you so much.
Do you like these doors?
I can get for you.
Bob, Bob, your hat.
Oh, tricky.
Your hat, Bob.
Oh, Bob, who would you be without this?
Actually, have a
See ya.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor Gona, seconded by Councillor Carney, that we proceed into closed session as permitted under the municipal act to consider personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal employees, and a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality. All in favor? Okay, we are in closed, perfect. Okay, so just up here. There. Okay. Okay, come back to our agenda. All right, so so welcome back. We have had our discussion in camera. And to come out and report, it's moved by Councillor Carney, seconded by Councillor Aragona, that council met in closed session to discuss matters pertaining to personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal employees, and a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality, and council provided instruction to staff. All in favor? Now, during that break, waiting for the camera to come back in, one of our councillors went back to the drawings for the railing for the library. And I think I heard a conversation between that councillor and Mr. Evans that as council, our calculation was not accurate according to the drawings. That in fact, each railing individually is 57 feet-ish. And so that puts the cost of what we were discussing, instead of $1,000 a linear foot, it's more around $500 a linear foot. So we passed the motion. We gave direction to staff to bring a report back in 2 weeks. Now that we know that the cost is $500 a linear foot, it still seems like a lot of money, but it's steel. Do we want to change the direction that we gave to staff? Councillor Aragona.
No, I think the clarification on the length makes perfect sense. I don't think we need to change direction to staff. I think we can leave it as is, and I appreciate the fact that this was looked up and clarification was made.
Okay, but the direction we gave to staff was we were not gonna go ahead with the railings. We were gonna wait for them to come back and tell us they found something less expensive. So we're gonna change that. All right, very good. Everybody fine with that? Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, and that puts us at a confirmatory bylaw, unless anybody's got anything else. Okay, super. Moved by Councillor Carney, seconded by Councillor Aragona, that bylaw 2026-17, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings at its meetings held on April 28th, May 5th, May 8th, and May 19th, 2026, be read a first, second, and third time and finally pass this 19th day of May 2026. All in favor? That's carried. And our adjournment, moved by Councillor Aragona, seconded by Councillor Cardy, that this meeting of the council of the village of Westport adjourn at 6:31 PM. All in favor? Carried. Okay, awesome.